in making sure that there is diversity, and I think that we're moving in a really good direction. I think one of the interesting things is as conferences have expanded a little bit, some of them are a little bit larger and some a little smaller, and I think you'll see that actually played out in the number of bowls and the quality of bowls that different conferences are able to attract. So obviously we're much stronger going into this cycle with Nebraska in our alignment. We're stronger, Maryland and Rutgers. Rutgers has been to 5 or 6 bowls in a row. Maryland actually played in Jacksonville and in the Orange Bowl in the last decade. Well, people don't focus on that. So when you look at the history of what we've been able to do in the bowl system, and you look at the new teams, and then you look at the diversity that I think we're going to be able to focus on, I think our fans and our coaches and players are in for a good treat. The details in a lot of these cases aren't final, but it is shaping up really nicely. There'll be some places we won't return to. There'll be some new venues, and there'll be some places that we're returning to. So we're really excited about that. I think everybody feels really good about it. Collaboration among and between our athletic directors to achieve these ends, which were, to have a national slate, to have more diversity, to try to create a freshness approach. I think will all bode well. We also have taken into consideration the fact that we're in the East now. And when I say truly national, I mean truly national, not just exclusively Sun Belt, not just exclusively Florida, not just exclusively California, not just exclusively warm weather. So there's going to be a combination, I think, of bowls that will be different, but I think that'll be exciting for our fans and coaches and players. It'll be a little bit different because it's not pure selection, and that's intentional. So we'll have to socialize everybody to the changes, but I think overall we'll be good. We've got a lot of great teams with great followerships, and hopefully that'll play out pretty well. So, that's where the bowl situation is. We've met a lot with our schedulers, not me, but Mark and our athletic directors. We're trying to create better schedules going forward. We're going to play more conference games. We're trying to get stronger non-conference schedules. That's challenging, and so we're going to have to really work hard. Whether it's getting help from ESPN because they have a database of available games, but with fewer non-conference games and a higher bar for playing stronger teams, we're going to have to kind of monitor that. The goal is to strengthen schedules, and I think Mark is going to have our 14 schedules out pretty soon, and we don't go to 9 games until 16, but that's the direction we want to go, and we're working hard on that, but it takes a real focused effort, simply because you're really cutting into a much smaller group of available schools. And so we're really focused on that to see if that can occur. With respect to Maryland and Rutgers, we're planning on spending some time with them this June in DC and in New Jersey. They've been attending at all of our meetings. While they don't have a vote, they have voice. And I think the effort to really bring a larger conference into closer communication is really good. I think you can talk to them. I think they feel very good about it, and so that I was listening to a vote yesterday on not a major matter, but the vote was 7-5. Somebody put their hand up and said, it really wasn't 7-5, it was 7-7. They said, what do you mean? That Rutgers and Maryland don't have a vote. I said, yeah, but they voted against it. They have voice, and we want to take that in consideration. So they may not have a vote until July 1, 2014, but they have a voice, and it's listened to, whether we're working through divisions, or whether we're working through bowls, or whether we're working through soccer schedules. And I think that's appreciated, and we're going to do everything we can to take a larger group of institutions in 2 regions of the country and bring it together. As I look at this, I think it's going to incumbent upon us to meet more, be more social, and be in more regular contact, because it's always a challenge when you get larger, whether you're a company or whether you're a university or whether you're a conference, you can't forget about having 14 around the table is bigger than 12, is bigger than 11, and you have to be conscious of that so that you don't become different. You stay just as intimate and just as tied together as you possibly can. In that regard, we talk to our basketball coaches a lot about ideas for scheduling in the East, ideas about how they want to schedule going forward. And there were 14 coaches in there, and the communication was really good. Really good. We got some great basketball coaches and some great guys, and I really liked the attitude that was sort of in that meeting. And as I noted earlier, we had 2 football coaches meetings. You probably wrote a lot about the deregulation efforts and the reactions of the coaches, and our coaches met once and then they met again. And they really worked through those issues and made a series of what I thought were constructive recommendations. And so I think the conference continues to socialize itself with 14 people around the table, not 12, and I think that bodes well for the future. The amazing thing about this conference is the competition that occurs on the field, but there's also an amazing amount of collaboration in the meeting rooms, whether it's on schedules or divisions or bowls, and almost in every case we end up with a unanimous position after people make their various points. We try to accommodate as many interests as we can, so it's a pretty remarkable culture. Mark Silverman gave a very extensive report yesterday about the network and about BTN to go internationally, about the fabulous ratings that BTN experienced in January and February. ESPN just gave a report on their January and February basketball ratings, and both of them were up to 30% plus. Both of them, in the case of BTN, the best January, February ratings in their history, and ESPN, Big Ten was leading the pack this year. So, it's gratifying to see not only the good competition, but the fact that people were tuning into it. I think the landscape continues to change in cable television. The SEC announced its network to launch with ESPN ownership. That'll be an interesting development. Pac-12 is out there. Longhorn continues to be out there. The Dodgers, the Lakers, everybody wants to participate in the network business. Fox is launching two networks, so it's more competitive all the time. I'm glad that we have a foothold. It will continue to be challenging, but I think the fact that as we build audience and build followership and look forward to getting some distribution done in the East down the road, it's great to be able to come off a season like the season we've come off of. We've got 1.2 million Big Ten alums from Northern Virginia to New York, and so I think they're going to be looking forward to the network. And distribution is never easy, but we're looking forward to constructive conversations and to create win-win situations for everybody involved. So let me stop there and see if you have any questions.
Jim, you were saying about maybe a pure selection process with the conference bowls. Do you think that will go a long way towards removing some of the politics that's going on in the past?
Well, to be honest with you, I don't think there have been a lot of politics. What we've tried to do, because bowls have bought selections, is say a couple things to our athletic directors. You go out there and make the best case you can for your team. Because typically in 11 of the last 15 years, we moved the second team into the BCS. So when that happens, whatever limitations there are in the selection process sort of go away. And I remember when Iowa and Purdue were both trying to get into the Capital One Bowl. They both went down there, they met with the bowl selection committees, which are political, they're just like any other group. They've got to make the call, and then they both took advertisements out in the local paper. These guys work the bowl groups hard, but at the end of the day, it's really been the bowl group who exercises their rights under the selection process. I think in some ways that when conferences actually take control of the placement of the teams, that's more political because we are our members and somebody probably wins and somebody loses. We didn't want to go that far, so we really didn't get too much into the placement business. What we tried to do is ask our athletic directors, what are you trying to achieve? What they were trying to achieve was making sure that the bowl experience was fresh. I think Wisconsin played 5 times in Florida in a 6-year period. And I think that Ohio State played 4 times in a 5-year period in the desert. So what we tried to do is look back over the last 18 years, break it down into 6-year segments, because going forward, we're in 6-year segments, and tried to say, if we put these rules into play, you know, what is the quality of team that's likely to be selected by the bowl at 1, 2, 3? Then we form parameters like, okay, you have to take 5 different teams in 6 years, so you could repeat 1 team, but you couldn't repeat 2 teams. And then, for example, if you were in Orlando, Tampa, you know, you could go to Orlando 1 year, Tampa another year, but then you need to go someplace else. You could then come back. Obviously, you could go to the Rose Bowl as many times as you want. I told Barry, if you win again, or if you go to a championship and you're the highest, you could go again. But we don't have control over that. But other than that, we're trying to get different, you know, bowls, different teams into different environments as much as we can, and still give them some control over the quality of team we're getting.
How many bowls are you looking at?
We're looking, you know, our plans when we talk to these bowls is, you know, we don't know what the future holds. We know 11 times in the 18 years, you know, we moved the team up. So that's, you know, what, 1.7 teams moving up. In the new system, just as an effort to do the modeling, we thought we might have 2 up, on average. Maybe some years it'll be 1, maybe some years it might be 3. But we use 2, and then below that, we'll have at least 6 other relationships, maybe more. We have 14 teams, so we have Nebraska, Maryland, and Rutgers, and on top of that, we have 9-game schedules, which may be, you know, you're going to split that additional game. It's going to be a 500 game. Typically, depending upon the schedules you have, you win anywhere from 50 to 80% of the game, depending upon, you know, how much you up schedule. So we're thinking that, you know, we could have as many as 9, you know, an average of 9 bowl eligible teams per year. We were hoping that the 6 and 6 would go to 7 and 5. It didn't. We're not going to do that unilaterally. We think the bowl system would be better off with the 7 and 5 situation. We thought for a while we were heading in that direction, but it's obvious that we're not. And so we're making plans, if we have a 6 and 6 bowl eligible team, to try to find a place for them.
Is there no appetite for divisional play in basketball, and is there any consideration to scheduling to preserve a few more rivalries in basketball in the future?
There's no appetite for regional divisions in basketball. You know, we want to keep the ACC Big Ten Challenge. I think 18 games is about right. I thought this year, as enjoyable as the season was, and as competitive as it was, and as deep as it was, I thought players were really tired at the end of the year. And I thought they got some of their legs back, but they played so hard, and each game was a physical and emotional challenge. I thought people were tired. So I don't think there's much appetite to go beyond the 18. Moreover, it's really hard if you, with the number of weeks you have, to get more than that in, still just play a couple of games a week, you have a bit of time off, and so on. As far as having some single or double round robin players, single round robin, and then focusing in on rivalries, I've heard some discussion about that, I've read about some of that, but I haven't been involved in those discussions, either with our coaches or our ADs yet.
Couple more questions.